Now, I keep on saying that the left really, really, really needs to talk more about business and the economy. And they need to go into more specific details about what they are going to do, how they are going to build the economy, what policy, and that's the key point, policy, are they going to do to make sure that the economy is good and can sustain the types of social projects they want to see. And this is one of my big things I say about Northern media, about most of the of the UK left. And I'm going to talk about one policy I am always talking about, or always at least mentioning, because especially today with this Tata Steel announcement, and we'll be going over that in a moment. This goes to show you why the decarbonisation of the British steel industry should be one of the big policy proposals of Labour. Now, Ed Miliband gets it. Ed Miliband has talked constantly about how good this would be for securing the future of the British steel industry, and not just the main British steel industry. There are hundreds of thousands of other jobs that this would create and secure as well. But it would take a lot of time and a lot of investment. And if done properly, if done and invested in properly, this would take between about 20 to 25 years. Now, that is a long time frame. But in doing that, not only do you secure the future of the British steel industry, you secure one of the most strategic resources that we have in the UK, something that we need a lot of, and to build stuff with, you need steel. HS2, perfect example. You need steel to lay those train line tracks. It would also help massively boost our green industries as well, and create thousands of jobs around these areas. So this is very, 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 very important when it comes to these types of projects. So where do we begin on this? Well, first of all, you've got to have a government that's going to really invest in it. And to be honest, Ed Miliband has talked about this. He's talked very positively about this. This is something I would love to see. But you've got a situation here where this is being done wrong, where at the moment, Tata Steel is throwing their weight around and the government are capitulating to a point where they are going to give a £500 million subsidy to Tata Steel to keep one of the biggest UK steel production plants in Wales called Port Talbot open, so that they can slowly but surely, go green. But in the meantime, they're going to lose about 3,000 jobs. That is a lot of jobs to do. And if I was in government, I would be making sure no job losses. Like a basic stipulation, no job losses. Unless you can give us a guaranteed, good, accurate business assessment, or even in the case that those future jobs are going to come back, you ain't getting that subsidy. And if you don't, and if you close that, well, guess what? We're going to nationalize Port Talbot. That should be the play that the government should be doing. But of course, we've got a Conservative government. They ain't going to do that. So before we go looking at this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a notification link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me a coffee. And of course, there is the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club as well down below. So let's have a look into this. So this was from The Guardian this morning about Tata Steel is poised for a £500 million subsidy to secure the future of the Port Talbot site. So the government is poised to announce a £500 million support package for Tata Steel to secure the future of the Port Talbot steelworks in an agreement that could lead to as many as 3,000 job losses. Why on earth is the government going to agree to a deal, to a to support a steelworks which is going to lead to that many job losses. It really doesn't make sense, but of course, that'll be the talks with the government and Tata Steel going on in the background, and it's likely we may never know the big details about that. But it continues. So India's Tata Group, which owns the vast steelworks in South Wales, Britain's biggest, has been in negotiations over the government subsidies to help it either transition to greener production methods or look at site closures. We've discussed this before when we've talked about this as a policy. The steel industry wants to go that way as well. It knows that it has to go in this way, but it also knows it cannot do it by itself. Because in order to do this, you are talking about closing down furnaces, lowering production while these transitions take place. And even though these big companies could, in theory, maybe do it, they do not want to put that forward to the investors. So they are doing this at a snail's pace. But if the government actually got up, actually invested in these things, Britain could be the first country in the world to be producing carbon neutral steel. It would be a massive boon to the UK. And you would think a country that, and especially right now, we have a government that talks up about how amazing Britain is meant to be and the opportunities that lie with Britain. Why are they not taking this opportunity? Well, because A, they don't like government subsidies, and of course, B, this gives credence to the whole net zero thing, the whole green industry thing. They don't want to go that way. They've made that abundantly clear. Expundantly, yeah, they've made that abundantly clear about that. But continues. So Tata Steel UK, which employs about 8,000 staff at 2 of Britain's 4 remaining blast furnaces, does not earn enough to cover the cost of the decarbonisation on its own. About 4,000 people are employed at Port Talbot. And under the agreement, the government will provide a state aid package to help switch Port Talbot's 2 coal-powered blast furnaces to greener electric arc versions, and they can run on zero carbon electricity. This is what we're talking about. But there should be a whole big thing about doing this. One of the big things I've seen in there was a presentation a couple of years ago that I watched on this. And one of the big opportunities, especially Port Talbot, is the tidal generation opportunities. There should be built as part of this decarbonisation effort a big tidal generator built in and around Port Talbot. So not only does that help to fund the electricity to the steel plant, but that also will help to fund electricity to Cardiff, Bristol, Swansea, and Newport as well. This is what we talk about when you look at policy and the way that this can help expand into other policies as well. The government are not looking forward at anything. All they are caring about is, look, we need to keep this place open, because if it closes, then the people will blame us for it. So whatever you need, just keep the place open. That's why you are seeing these job losses. And also, we've got to take into the fact that because of the energy crisis as well, this is having a big hit on the steel industry as well. So that is another thing at the moment that's happening as well. So let's continue on. So as part of the deal, Tata, which made a pre-tax loss of £279 million in the UK, according to the country's most recent annual results, it is expected to inject about £700 million into the Green Initiative. The Business Secretary, Kemi Badnoch, and the Welsh Secretary, David T.C. Davis, are expected to visit the South Wales site on Friday to announce the deal. July last year, of course, Tata made the £1.5 billion demand for government subsidies, with its group chairman saying that without this, we will have to look at closures of sites. So the agreement which the government is likely to result up to 3,000 job losses over the long term is a result of decarbonisation. That's not true. This whole thing saying that, oh, it's down to decarbonisation. No, this is down to the fact that they want to just cut those job losses. So while they've got that subsidy, they don't have to pay the wages of about 3,000 workers. But during this time, if you were properly funding the decarbonisation of the British steel industry, you could put those workers to work in other areas and help them to build this new decarbonised steel industry. But of course, they're not interested in that. Rather, they're just like, well, excellent, we can cut 3,000 workers. So, the government, of course, is in talks about a financial support package to assist Tata Steel employees facing redundancy, although some of the job cuts are likely to come from workers taking early retirement. And again, I don't expect that to, so say, be rather big, especially under this particular Tory government, which is rather depressing. Charlotte Bunton Childs, the GBM national officer, said the government intervention in the steel industry is long overdue, but imposing a program without proper worker consultation is unacceptable. The GMB has urged ministers and Tata Steel to have a longer term view on the decarbonisation of steel, which is part of the problem. They do not have this longer term view. And this is leading to the problem. The decarbonisation of the UK steel industry should not be leading to job losses. If done properly, the decarbonisation of the steel industry could be a massive job creator and secure thousands of jobs here in the UK. But because the UK government, and especially this current Conservative government, ain't interested in that, it ain't going to touch it with a barge pole. Meanwhile, you've got Ed Miliband, who has openly talked really positively about this, which is part of the reason why we need to get Labour in. Because if we get Ed Miliband in, I am hopeful they will go down this route and take that long-term view of the steel industry. So she continues. It is not just about the transition if thousands of jobs are sacrificed in the name of short-term environmental gains. That's ultimately really it is. It's not about short-term environmental gains. It's just about short-term gains in general over this. But she continues. We wholeheartedly support the move to modernize and decarbonize the industry. In fact, we have sought this type of investment for years. But ignoring technologies outside of electricity arc furnaces will mean tens of thousands of people will lose their livelihoods. And that's a bigger part of it. Ignoring all this other technology that's going on in the steel industry. This is a bad, bad move. Don't get me wrong. The fact that this is going to be kept open is a good thing for our economy, because things like this, once they get closed down, they very rarely ever reopen. But this package is being done wrong from start to finish. And it goes to show you that because this government do not care, because they know they're going to be out in a year, they do not give a damn about any long-term planning or long-term thinking. And if I were Ed Miliband, I'd be making a massive case and a massive push for why the decarbonisation of the steel industry should be a number one priority for a Labour government. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.